So welcome, welcome, welcome. Uh, Truly appreciate that we're all on here. Uh, Currently, we've got Candace, Abigail, Heather. Um, we've got Arlene, myself, and Dr. Scott Bailey. Um, we just upgraded him to PhD. We have 304. Who's 304? Is that Teresa?
That's Teresa. She's here.
Teresa. So Teresa's on here as well. So it always impresses me that we can all get out, together and on this thing here. As you know, the purpose of these particular Zooms are to hone our skills on duplicatable processes. 229. I just got 229. Who's 229?
That's me, Kathleen.
That's Kath. That's right. That's right. It just took me a second to remember. It's still early. All right. So Kath is on. Everybody's on. All right. So Abigail, if you could, I want to start with a little memory jog here because I'm getting to 52 years old, and it becomes a little difficult for me to remember the last thing that we reviewed. So if you could just remind me a little bit of what we went over on our last Zoom and share it with the group. So I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, Abby, but hey, you're the first one that I saw on my name thing here.
It just kind of sucks to have a name like A, B, I'm always first on people's list. Yeah. Okay, so are we talking about the Zoom where we were all together here, or
yes,
Zoom that you and I had?
Right here.
Okay. I was not on Monday, so maybe come back around to me.
Okay. All right. Teresa, could you jog my memory of what happened on our last Zoom? Did we lose Teresa?
Sorry, I had it muted and I was talking.
It's okay.
It's early in the morning. Okay, we were talking about basically our goals and what we were planning on doing to meet our goals from Monday to Wednesday. As for me, my realistic goal was to send 3 overviews. I sent 2. My stretch goal was 6. Well, apparently I didn't even make my realistic goal, but today's not over. So we're still working. We're still plugging. Again, we were talking about, my brain isn't working and I apologize. That's what really stuck out with me. So, and we were just talking about how, I know Scott was going to talk about his epiphany, but I don't think he ever got a hold of that and shared it, of what he got from, I think, Jefferson Green's call.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that he'll cover that today. But basically it was just, taking steps forward, reaching out. If you don't talk and share your blessings, then nothing happens. That's basically what I got.
Okay, great. How about Heather? Could you maybe add to that? I remember a lot of that too as well, by the way, Teresa, so I really appreciate you sharing that. So thank you for jogging my memory on that. So I do remember that. Heather, do you remember anything else?
Just making sure that we do, especially those of us that are really busy with our schedules and finishing up the year, to just reach out to that one person. Do that one thing every day, even if it's just in passing, to keep moving forward.
Absolutely. And I also, I'm going to try to, I don't have my notebook in front of me here, so I'm going to go from memory. So please forgive me if I am not 100% accurate, which is why I asked you guys to kind of jog my memory here. But I'm going to go as far back as Friday first. So I know that the 2 Zooms ago, we really talked about, turning the corner on our list and setting some real achievable goals for the week, because we're coming up on the end here. We've got it looks like I don't know, a little over a week, right? So we've got about 8 days left here to promo qualify. And, I think we all pretty much shared some achievable goals about going out and speaking to people. short of Candace, I think Candace was really focusing a little bit on well, if I recall this, Candace, I don't know, maybe you can help me out with what you said, but I think what you were saying is that you're going to be focusing on just kind of, embracing this entire process as a whole, because you are busy in trying to start your business and acquire the keys to run your own personal healthcare wellness center. So if I'm wrong, then beat me up a little bit. If I'm right, then I'm totally amazed that you're able to juggle that, and that you're picking up your goal, but you're still seeing that there's a benefit here, because ultimately, guys, right? You have to ask your question at some point to yourself, is that what's your default future if it's not Melaleuca, right? I think that we have a really good tool here, and it could be, it could be so much more if we just imagine it to be that way. I know for myself, coming into Monday and having Scott, really go through, each and every person that's on the call, and holding them to what they said they were going to do was very powerful for me, and a point of good stress for me for this week, because I really wanted to, I really opened, even though I was dealing with closing my year out, my daughter and her school, it really forced me to, whenever I was around another human being, asking the most important question, which is, hey, how do you feel about shopping online? Do you shop online? Have you heard of Melaleuca, and so forth? And it's turned out to be really an interesting conversation starter for me, because typically, you get into these little small chats that people are used to, and in that awkward pause of a moment, I always ask that question. It kind of puts people in a different state of mind, which is pretty cool. It's like I don't know, the energy changes. It's still a bit different, and it doesn't feel, there's no resistance alarms that go off with it, which is really cool. So I think that's a great tool for me. But anyway, then we went into Monday, and as I was saying, so we all gave our reasons for doing or not doing, and it doesn't matter really what you did or you didn't do, as long as you're doing one thing for your business, right, moving forward. And then we all said what we were going to do for this Wednesday. So I'll start with myself. I said that I was going to reach out to 20 people, 20 individuals, knowing that I had what I had to do. And, I got half of that done. And I got 7 no's, and I got 3 yeses, so I'm pretty impressed by that. I even gave out, something that I normally don't do is give somebody out a business pack, without first being an actual business partner of mine. But they were so excited about the company, and they wanted to share with their wife so much that I gave them I said, why don't you take this to your wife and show her to her, and if you don't want to, the guy lives in the building here. I said, if it doesn't fit for you, then just drop it back off at the house. And he's like, I'm really curious about this. I don't think I'm going to be dropping it back off, but so I'm going to follow up with him today, and see if I get these 2 people signed up moving forward. But that was mine. Abigail, I think she wasn't on the call, so she didn't say what she was going to do for Wednesday, although she did do what she said she was going to do independently with me, which is set up calls with her first level personals, and she has. I see it on my calendar, which is great. I did have a personal call with pretty much all my team members this week as well. Abigail's parents. So we had a strategy call. It was my first time doing a strategy call a la Melaleuca training, which is pretty interesting for me. And I think it was very helpful, because I integrated in that strategy session, integrated the tools that we're using currently right now, which is, list building, critical activity number 1. And then before going into critical activity number 2 is I'm having people actually test the 3 steps that we're doing here, right? So, Do you shop online? How often do you shop online? What are your feelings of, e-commerce? And have you heard of Melaleuca? It's not good enough for me for them to just write it. I actually have them calling, and you may get a call. You may get a call all of you may get a call from somebody that's on the team at some point, and they run you through that script. They might just start chit-chatting. Hey, Heather, how you doing? This is Candace. I just, was thinking about you. Just want to reach out and say hi. You're going to think it's a regular conversation. And then all of a sudden, Candace will go through and say, I've been meaning to ask you, do you shop online? And you'll know what's going on at that point. But the whole point is to get that fear of getting through that. And so I gave a homework assignment to Abigail's parents. They were supposed to reach out to 3 people in the team and have that conversation. And then ultimately the 4th person or the 4th call should be back to me so that I can hear how natural that is. So Scott, I don't know if you've ever done that with your team, but I think it's a great progression step, before they actually call somebody on their list, and it's fun. I think it becomes like a fun tool. Heather, she said she was just going to keep doing that one thing because she's got school is coming up. Teresa, I think, said the same thing moving forward. I know that I think we lost. Oh no, she's here. Arlene said that she was going to keep hustling and on her list of people and move forward. And Scott said, I'm going from my top of my mind, Scott. I can't remember exactly what you said. So could you jump in here and help me with what you said?
Yeah, sure. You betcha. I have, I think at that time I had 27 intro calls on my planner. I had 9 that went down yesterday. 2 folks said no. One was a resounding no. And on the heels of that was a resounding yes. And I had a second epiphany. And I'm going to hopefully get a chance to cover both of those today, Teresa. Hey. But yeah, it was an interesting conversation. So I'm going to just cover briefly. Saki I think you covered just about everybody. See if there's anything else in here. So I think you said you want to fill out my calendar. I've got 3, but 2 on Wednesday. I want to stretch and have 20 interactions by Wednesday. So you covered that really well. Abigail, Troy's not on for right now. We'll come back to that. Heather was driving 70 miles an hour, reconnecting with 1, reconfirming with 1, and 2 at work going back and forth that you'd like to nail down. And then just fill in the blanks. So Heather, are you on? Yes. Would you jump in and share? Maybe we can do it this way, cover what we've done and what we would like to do. So Heather, if you would share how that went and then project forward to today's Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday through Friday morning, what you'd like to put on your agenda or what's on your planner. Yes, ma'am.
I was not able to get either one of the ones that I'm following up to answer the phone. So they may get put on we'll get back to them later list. But then I did connect with another staff member at work and set up a tentative appointment for the first day after we're done with all of our grades and such with that. And then another person at work as well that has filled out the checklist but wants to wait till. I mean, that's the hard part. People want to wait, and I'm not the person to say, well, you got to do it now. I'm more about the long-term relationship and building it and having evidence of the product. And I use all the products at school, so they are always welcome in my classroom to see how well the products work. But then outside of that, I'm trying to do at least one a day outside of school that's not my staff members. However, I do have several members of the building are enrolled as customers, so it's been a good melting pot for me.
Nice.
That's where we're going.
So and there it is. So if I'm catching the agenda for the next 2 days, it's 1 a day for the next 2 days. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Teresa, what I wrote down was reconnecting with committed, meeting, goal of overviews with stretch goal of 6 overviews. Maybe I missed the goal of how many overviews, but with the stretch of 6, how did that go so far, and what's your projection for the next 2 days?
Well, I was able to send 2 overviews, and today's not over, so I can possibly make my realistic goal of 3. I did call and reach out. This is with my sister. She finally connected last night. She does not shop online. She does not own credit cards, but her daughter does. And her daughter's, but she's a realtor. So I asked her if we can join forces, that when she sells a house, if I can go ahead and bring some products as a welcome gift and congratulations, and give me my business card, and then kind of go from there. And she's like, absolutely, I would love that. So to me, I'm excited about that. I did talk to at least 3 new people. So now I'm just trying to get commitment to have the door open to come in and share or send the overview. So I'm following back with that. So right now, again, with school going on, and unfortunately I was sick and I came home and just crashed yesterday because I needed to. But I still reached out even though I was under the weather. So, and I'm just trying to be still to say, God, you brought this to me. How can I glorify you? And you lead me, and you posture me, and you fill the words of what I need to say that will help somebody today. So my radar's up, and I'm just engaging. I'm whoever I talk to, and I'm just going. My goal is to reach 1 or 2 people a day, and then we'll go from that. Follow up.
Got it. Okay, very good. Meg, are you on the call by chance? Okay,
No,
Arlene,
I just reached out to her to remind her again.
Yeah, no worries. So Arlene, what I wrote down was teach a customer how to enroll customers, reconnecting, no, sorry, wrong day. Need to reschedule 3 based on Kids Musicals, 10 appointments and want 2 signed up, work through objections with the other. So I want to get my 4 in this week with stretch goal of 1 of them becoming director this month, review the business reports to determine what all it takes to status advance. Are you able to talk? I don't know if she's.
Yeah, I'm here.
I think yeah,
yep,
very good.
I'm currently en route, so I got a good couple minutes. Awesome.
All right, super.
Thank
so
you,
how did the past
Scott.
2 days go?
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah.
I did not get the 2 enrolled yet, but I have several people really looking at it. Yesterday, I had 2 appointments that I was supposed to actually, turtle in the road, meet personally, and they canceled due to circumstances going on in their life. And but we are rescheduling this week, hopefully with them. However, I did meet 2 more brand new people yesterday, just being out and about with my daughter. So I added them to my funnel, and the one was supposed to be getting on the Zoom last night, left her a message and didn't hear back. So I am following up with the people that I had 5 that were wanting to be on the Zoom last night. Was only able to personally get on the phone with one of them after it was over. So my gut feeling is that none of them really made it on. So, but we'll see. The one gal is a definite, majorly thinking about it. She's an amazing waitress or cashier at Starbucks that I met last week. And and then Jen, my appointment yesterday with the Road and Fields lady went very well. She messaged me last night that she's been looking over the products. So our kid was in Taekwondo and was very impressed. She's been hungry for the change of switching over eco-friendly because she's a science teacher at a public school. And so that was a good win. I'm hoping to have, at least 2 for sure signed up by the weekend, but my end goal is definitely 4. No, I did not get any business report stuff done. It was just a hop day yesterday. Today's another one. Today I have an appointment set with somebody on my team that I haven't spoke to in a while, so that's good. And then a follow-up with one of my new people that I met. Not that I met her, but I saw her little at the college, there's this little thing like, oh, I need money for, I will work for whatever I have a mission trip coming up. So I reached out to a college student in our school and talked to her, and she's very interested. So I have a follow-up with her this morning at 11. And then several follow-ups throughout the day and tonight. So my one of my major goals from now till Friday is I've got to get, I bought some chalk paint to paint a big, huge frame that I have in my garage and make it like a chalkboard to go above my desk. I couldn't find the whiteboard one. I don't know if they even have that one existing, but I just went with a chalk one, and I want to have a visual over my desk so that I can do what Kathleen showed us at the house, is just like visually put all the people that have 2, 3, 4, 5 and what I need yet to get them there and kind of daily see that. I need that. I need a visual something. So I'm going to make that happen the next couple days. And then another thing is I bought a hole puncher and a folder, and I'm going to get all of these lists hole punched and in a folder so they're more organized and off my desk. This clutter is driving me crazy. And that way I can just grab the folder and go and put it in my bag instead of just piles of lists. So I know that's me. That's my I got to get organized thing. And I need to make time to do that. I often just keep on meeting people, keep on adding people to my list, and I don't sit and make myself get organized. That's the way I function, but I'm tired of functioning that way. So, so the organization thing, the following up with people, reaching out to people that I met 2 days ago because I left it silent yesterday. So I need to reach out to 2 or 3 people that I met out and about publicly 2 days ago to get that through the funnel. And that's it.
Okay, very good. Kath, Kathleen, nice meeting you, by the way. Okay. I don't have anything written down, but would you consider sharing maybe activity over the past couple of days and what you're projecting for the next couple of days? Would that be all right?
Who are you asking?
Kathleen.
Kath or Kathleen?
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Me, Kathleen Gray. Yes.
I think so, yeah, because I don't think we've met. I'm Scott, and I've heard your name once or twice just mentioned in passing, but I think this is the first time we're meeting, so good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. The past few days, well, I enrolled someone several days ago, so that's good. So I've got to catch up with her, and working with my sister a little bit. We're working on some things, going through the steps. Really want to nail that down for me and for my team. Going through, what does the welcome call look like? What is our strategy session going to look like? What is our 7 touches, I guess, they've talked about on the Jefferson Green call. Just kind of nailing down those things. So we can, have that kind of neat and organized and share. So once we start getting people in and reconnecting with the team, to have that kind of solidified. I also have reached out to a few people on my team, some people who are still like, I'm here, I want to do this, I want this. So I just want to go over, some of the new things that we're doing here. The more I'm getting, trying to get back acclimated with everyone and reconnected with everyone here. I really want to focus on seeing what I need to do to advance, taking those steps. My husband is excellent at mapping stuff out, like exactly what you need to do to get to the next levels and qualify and who needs to qualify for what and the numbers. He's a numbers guy. So I'm just going to be working on that and reaching out to people, working on my list, getting my list. Like Arlene, my desk is a huge mess. I need to get my inventory, which is my binder of my, of people that I'd like to reach out to. So slowly but steadily getting back into it. I'd like to, get my 4 by, let's see, when is the last day of the month? Is that Thursday?
I
Next
think so. I'm
Thursday?
pulling it up now. It is, yes. 31st is a Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yes, I would like to, let's see. Yeah, I'd like to enroll my 4 by next week, Monday, Tuesday, and then at least help 1 get their 4. So I really want to work on either some of my new enrollments getting their 4 or re-engaging some of my people back into the enrolling process, getting them promo qualified.
Nice. Excellent. Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Brandy Hill, David Monday. I think we're a couple of folks that were at it, but I don't know if they're on this call. Is there anybody that we've missed so far? Anybody else that hasn't shared yet? All right, very good. So rounding a corner, there were a couple of things that, so the epiphanies, if you will. When I was listening to the Jefferson Green overview, one of the things that I started to notice, I'm a systems guy, one of the things I started to notice was how they do what they do. And so with the most recent previous recording, let me rephrase that, with the most recent overview, not last night's, but 3 nights ago, I recorded it and then I had it transcribed and went through all spell checks, cleaned it all up. There were a couple of spaces in there where it was unintelligible, but we muscled through it. And what I'm now and so that's the rough draft. Now what I'm now working on is modifying it to the degree that it should be modified for us. For example, their personal testimony is not our personal testimony. Their favorite product may or may not be our favorite product, but we're going to have our own reason for it. And the thought that I had was that we can own that. All right. We've got a great group of folks here, and they've got a great group of folks over there. So first things first, we had to pull together some sharp folks, and here we are. And it dawned on me that we have all the ingredients to do our own Jefferson Green overview. Okay. And as I've been going through and massaging it and reading it and understanding it, I've noticed a pattern. And when I was listening to the overview last night, I heard the pattern again. Okay. Where, and I won't bore you with the details, but they have they do this, then they do this, then they do this, then they do this, and then they wrap it up. Okay. So the thought that I had was that as we're cleaning up that script, so to speak, because that's really all it is a big fat script. Okay. That as we're cleaning up that script, that if we were to have folks say, I'll take this piece, or would you do that piece, or, however way that would work. And we would have somebody, for example, do the welcome, welcome, welcome. Please state what your name is, where you're calling from. Welcome, welcome, welcome. After you've done that, please mute your phone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. That whole thing, and have one person do that part, and then a different voice that does an intro, then a different voice that does a testimony. So what we have is the power of third-party validation in the overview, okay, and then have somebody else cover one of the 5 or 2 or 5 of the 5 bullets that they cover for why you could say, or why we said yes as a customer, then more product testimonies, then the bullets associated with why we said yes as a marketing executive, okay, and then have a closing or a closure section to it. And the second rough draft, I've been working on it every spare minute over the past 2 days. The second rough draft should be ready as like a template format that we can pass out to folks, where it says, for example, introducer, and here's the script for that. And then the first segment, okay, and it says insert name here, insert personal product testimony there, that sort of a thing. So I'm trying to bring it down to like a play, and everybody gets their parts, okay. And then we could have, for example, a mock overview where we all come together on a conference call. All right, do conference call first versus Zoom first. Just keep it real simple. All right, and have us all come together and speak out our parts. All right, in our own words, in our own natural thing. We'll figure that part out. But have everybody come together and do a Zoom that we could then present as a Ollie Allianz free. Now we've got control of that overview, but we're emulating what Jefferson Green is doing, and part of their speed is the team effort, the testimonies, the different voices, the structure. There's nobody, one person running off and rambling off. And we can modify it and enhance it as time goes on. As they went from 15% to 30% when they started talking about the marketplace, just as a small example of what I'm talking about. But I believe that with a little bit of effort and a little bit of group effort, we can pull this thing together and really have a powerful overview that is emulating the fastest group in Melaleuca history. Yeah. Thoughts, comments, questions?
I like it. It's a great idea. We need to do it. For sure.
I like the idea of us. The way that the analogy you used is we all have a role to play. And the more that one thing I noticed about, I mean, I love what they're saying. We're all saying basically the same thing, but sometimes to me it got a little bit wordy. It was more, look what I did, look what I did, look what I did. Look how I advanced. Part of it. But again, more of the product, more of the, because you have to be the product. You have to love the product in order to be able to stay in it, then advance, and then do everything else. So that's just my feelings. But I think it's great outline. And with your phone, okay?
What's up, Kylie?
Excuse me. You all right?
And I would agree with that.
Using the chat, I'm using the chat function just so that, I don't know if anybody can see what I'm writing, but I like the chat function because sometimes I'm thinking about something, but I don't want to take up time in the call. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can, yeah. Yeah, this is perfect. Thank you. And nice.
Well, I
Very
wrote
nice.
a lot. I wrote a lot to you, Scott. I was just thinking privately, but I did write, a couple lines in the whole group. But I didn't write much because I don't know if anybody can see me write stuff.
Got it. Good. And we'll certainly cover that. And I agree with the other comments as well about, and that was sort of what I was referring to when I was talking about modifying it, because we don't need to do what they're doing from a personal perspective, but we've got the structure of it. We've got the skeleton of it. And I think with our involvement, we can put some really nice muscles and tendons on there, if that's a analogy we want to run with, whatever. But
the only thing we don't have, the only thing I feel we don't have is the huge, awesome, woohoo, pow, wow money thing, like $24,000 in 21 days.
Yeah, actually we do.
Dang it, like, who has that?
Yeah, actually
right?
we actually do. We have at least 2 individuals that are involved.
Well, we've got Scott and Christine did great, and yeah. Kathleen, yeah.
So yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah, that's good enough.
I would be the mom who'd be like, it's not a marathon, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. I'm actually making consistent money, And I guess embracing that is a good thing. I've been learning to just be happy and embrace that.
And there it is. And here's this would be a good time to dovetail in and cover the second epiphany that I had. So over the past few days or so, I've been averaging about 9-10 new conversations, intro conversations, where they're hearing Melaleuca for the first time from me. And I had an interesting conversation yesterday with a gentleman where it became very real for me. It started off, I'd never met this guy. This was somebody that I had connected with over LinkedIn. So this was the very first time we were talking. His first name is Robert. And I said, So Robert, I want to talk about this side project, but before I get there, allow me to ask, what's a little bit about your story? I mean, you know, where are you coming from? What's on your agenda? Is there anything that I can help out with? And he started to share, and he's a master storyteller. I noticed that right off the bat. But he started to share, and I won't get into a bunch of details, but it became very clear that he needed something. He's 27 years of experience, great background, but he's hit a wall in his career, and he's now struggling to find something that will allow him and his wife to maintain their lifestyle. And so when I asked him if he had ever heard of Melaleuca, his response was, "Oh yeah, I love the products." And so I had one of those want feelings, okay, that went through me. And he said, "Yeah, my wife and I love the products." He said, "It's been about a year since we've used them." And I was like, want, wait, what? You know, that sort of thing. So
Right.
it was an interesting conversation. But it went on, he went on to say that if this is what this is about, I'm probably not interested. I tried one of those things once, it didn't work for me. And I just kept listening. You know, I just wanted to hear what his story was. And so I started to draw him out further. I said, you know, what was your experience? You know, share a little bit about that with me. And he started talking about his mother-in-law and the equivalent of a red wagon that you walk around the neighborhood with products and sharing with people and so on and so forth. And I said, okay, that's very interesting. I said, so how did that work? And he said, well, we had some, but very little success. And so I just continued to draw him out until I felt like he was at the end of his story. Okay. And I said, well, that's interesting. That's not what we're doing. And I just kind of let it hang there for a second. I said, what we're doing is following after one of the most successful teams in the history of the company. And we've got a system in place that we're developing. We're still fine tuning it. We're on the 1.0 version. We're working on 2.0. And I said, if you're open to it, I'd be happy to walk you through what we're doing so you have the experience of it. And then we can talk about it as we move forward. And he said, yeah, I'd be open to that. And so I said, I've got a couple of short video clips that I want to send over to you. One's going to be like a little intro for Melaleuca. There's also one about Oligo that I'm very excited about, the technology associated with the performance pack, the vitamins. And so I'm going to send that over to you. And then let's catch up. And I'd like to see what you like best or most about what you've seen so far. And then we can talk a little bit about why that may have been important to you. And then perhaps we can sit down and talk and go through some additional details. And so it was clear as a bell. There was no doubt. There was no confusion whatsoever that he was leaning forward. We went through the Q&A and I had my emotional roller coaster. All right. But at the end of the conversation, it was clear as a bell he was leaning forward. In stark contrast to the lady that I spoke to earlier in the day, when I asked her what her thoughts were about e-commerce, and her comment was, yeah, I was a late adopter. I didn't really trust it. I've got a real limited LinkedIn profile. I don't do anything with Facebook, but you know, it is the thing of the future and it's going to be what it's going to be. And I said, all right, that's interesting. And I said, have you ever heard of Melaleuca? And she said, no, but if it's going to be one of those kind of things, then, you know, I don't even know where this is going, Scott. I don't even know what you're trying to accomplish. In fact, you know what? I don't even think I'm interested anymore. I thought you were calling about such and such, and that's obviously not the case. And I don't even know what this is about. And I mean, it was clear as a bell. There was no confusion where that conversation was going. And my struggle has been in that gray area between those two calls. When I talk to others and I think, and I'm pretty sure, and I think I heard it and I want to interpret it this way, but it's not quite clear. Those are the ones that I've spent a lot of time with. But here's what hit me. I also had a conversation with Asher when he called back and he said, hey, Scott, I watched the videos and I am completely thrilled with this. I don't understand it yet, but you guys are absolutely onto something. I need to know more. Can you share more with me? And I said, yeah. And so I said, I've got an overview. I said, we're working on 2.0, but I've got a 1.0 version. I'm happy to go through it with you. And so we set a time to do that. But that's another situation where it's clear as a bell where he's at, what he wants. Now, who knows where it's going to land? It doesn't matter, but that's where he's at today. And so the epiphany that I had was, if I slow down to chase after the ones that aren't really responding, that aren't really coming around, that aren't really doing something, and I've got a huge list in front of me of folks that I have yet to reach out to, I can only do so many things. I've only got 24 hours. We only all have 24 hours. I've got to decide where I'm going to spend my time. So here's the soft conclusion that I've reached, sort of what I've been thinking about for a while. But the soft conclusion that I've reached is that I've got a list. I'm in the A's. I haven't even hit B's, C's, or D's yet. Okay. I know, I have to believe now that there's other clear as a bell people, clear as a bell conversations that I'm about to have with folks that I haven't connected with yet for a season or ever at all. folks that I'm meeting for the first time. And if I spend a lot of time chasing those that aren't really responding, it's not that I'm not willing to follow through, but I may not be willing to follow through right here, right now, because I've got Asher, I've got Robert, I've got this other guy over here who's saying, hey, would you slow down and spend time with me, picking up on what Kathleen was saying, or Kathleen. I need to nail down how I'm going to refer to you, Kathleen, I apologize. But the 7 steps, the structure, the process with those that are already engaged, with those that are already saying, yes, please slow down, pick me, let's do this. I want to lock arms. I want to get this accomplished. All right. So I'm trying to move as fast as I can. We've got Overview 2.0 in the works. We're pulling together the 7 steps. We're getting them written down. We've got them written down. We just haven't fleshed them out so that we own them. Okay. We've got documentation. We just got to pull it all together. It's a matter of, what we can do and when we can do and so on. And as we all continue to lean forward and tip forward and engage and pull together and come together, there's another person that we're reaching out to that we would like to invite in on this, that would be able to help us strategically, tactically. So we're making great progress. The fact that we're just meeting here this morning is awesome testament to where you guys are heart-wise and tactically. And so I'm excited about where we are. I'm excited about the direction that we're heading in. I'm excited about the path that we're on. And so yeah, that's just a little bit of insight as to what I've been thinking over on my side, in my head, and a couple of epiphany moments that I've had over the past few days or so. Yeah. Thoughts, comments, questions?
No, I agree. I'm gonna jump in here as well, because a couple things happened yesterday too that were, I guess, epiphanies for myself as well. I've like you, I've come from many years of actual sales, where lots of training, going to trainings and learning form and running people through systems, and this has been a challenging industry, to say the least, right? Because people are so bombarded by so much noise all the time, and that they become immune to certain tactics, right? So the story that you just shared with us about the one lady, obviously, you rang a bell for her, right? A resistance bell. Then after that point, that bell, she was like, oh, he's just like every other person trying to sell me something, right? So it's been my challenge over the last few years to try to be able to stick my hand through the beehive and not get bit, right? Because if you don't disturb the bees, you're good. You can get some of the honey, and sometimes you get bit, like you got bit pretty hard, right? And then you got to go back in your mind and say, well, what did I say? How did I say it? What happened, right? Because I pretty much, you follow a script, right? So I follow the script, and it really doesn't affect most people, but on occasion you end up with that bee sting. So. And I posted something on social media yesterday, because I think that I had killed, in my mind, I no longer have a place for form in my life. And by the way, guys, if you don't know what form is, that's when you ask people, when you follow a system to have a conversation with somebody. We ask them about their family, about their employment, about their, what they do for fun. And then eventually, how much money they're making and stuff like that, or not specifically, but you're in conversation form. It's just kind of to remind you how to talk to people. And I jokingly, turn that into fake, right? Because I believe that people that follow the form really, are no longer able to stay unique and authentic in those conversations. People can read through it. I think that you become very fake when you start talking about people's family. Initially, it sounds familiar to them. I think that you struggle to remember exactly how that thing, what to ask and how to ask it. And in that struggle, it looks like you're trying to scheme up something with these people in conversation, and you elongate the process to get to the point, right? So just like Scott just said, there's only 24 hours in a day. You're trying to talk to these individuals as many individuals as you possibly can. If you play this game with people, it'll take you 6 months to go through just your A's, right? And you're trying to build this rapport. Let me mute this one. Okay, so okay, I just muted everybody. I couldn't think with all this noise was going on. What I'm trying to get at is that I really believe that if you can just have any type of conversation whatsoever, any kind. It doesn't matter what kind of conversation you have. When you go to the grocery store, you start talking to somebody, you're not talking about, you're not thinking about Melaleuca. You might be, but you're not thinking about Melaleuca per se. Right? You bump into somebody genuinely, right? To have that genuine conversation and then wait for a pause and then use these scripts, this 1.0 system that we have is just such a fresher breath air because you really are genuinely just interested in what people want to know, right? It's important to, when you ask these, and Scott, I'm getting to something here. Just bear with me for a second. It's really important that you take your time on each one of those questions, even though it doesn't matter what their answer is for each one of the steps, right? I'm picking up a little bit of The Rock on that, right? When he says, what's your name? It doesn't matter what your name is, right? Well, when I ask you, do you shop online? It doesn't matter if you shop online because I want to ask you the next question. But it does matter how long I wait for that answer. It does matter that I really genuinely convey that I really want to know that question. And if you move too fast, then you're ringing up, you're hitting a space of resistance because I've experienced that, right? And the next question obviously depends on if the person's married or whatever. It's like how much shopping are you actually doing on online and stuff like that. Also deserves a weighted, by weighted I mean like a weighting, but a weighted time of response. Listening for what's happening and listening to the situation. I love the fact that when the guy said to him, look, listen, if it's one of these things, that he pulled out. That's something that I was taught by Jim Rohn, 10 years ago, right? That he pulled out the negativity, the resistance, because you can't have a genuine conversation moving forward if you don't know what the resistance is. That you pulled it out. You didn't get a chance to pull it out from the woman, or you chose not to. One of the two things, but you did with him. Maybe his momentum, his speed allowed you to process. Oh, let me find out. Let me dig into this and see what's there, really. Because once you knew that that it was whatever it was, it doesn't matter what it was. But once you knew what it was, you could position yourself to go into the next step. About your feelings of e-commerce or so forth, and then move into the tool about have you heard of Melaleuca and so forth. So what I'm getting at, folks, is that there's a lot of knowledge that many of you may have and many of you may not have about how to do something. And I'm asking you to please really embrace the simplicity of what we're trying to do here. Okay. And put everything that you know in your pocket and just have a little faith in these little simple steps. Just have a little faith in these simple steps. And if at any given point you feel like you're being challenged at all, it doesn't cost you anything to pick up a phone call and say, hey, Sock, let's role play a little bit, or can you help me get through this challenging state that I'm in right now? Okay, without using the thought process of can't or anything like that, because there's going to be a lot of sales noise right now everywhere on social media, even in your own household. So we need to pause that. We need to change that. We have the ability to move very fast here and be unique in starting something different, a new movement of how to talk and how to really approach people and how to care for people and how to be a blessing in people's lives. If we choose to just slow down and kind of just pocket. And I'm not saying throw away. I'm not saying not use it. you know, they're just tools that you don't normally use, right? You know, but I don't know why I had to share that, but I felt like I needed to share that. So I don't know. I was rambling.
Hey, Sar.
Hi.
Can I share now?
Share.
I even wrote it in the chat. Did you read that?
No, because I was having emotion. I'm reading it now.
Okay. Hey, so I messaged something to Christine the other day, and I wanted to share it something when we were at the convention. And I'm not going to talk long, but you know, you asked me what motivates me, what is my why, and I feel very defensive when people ask me that. And I didn't really understand at the time why I felt defensive, but I've been through school for a long time. There's a lot of people that want to, you know, do their board exams, become doctors, you know, do the Melaleuca business. They want to, whatever they want to do. Like, there's serious whys. There's huge whys. They want to stay home with their kids. They want to do this. They want to do that. But it wasn't until I have this actual tangible thing that I want to achieve, which is this wellness center that I am opening on July 1st in Indialantic, because I have to have a certain amount of money for it, and there's a deadline for it. So if I don't have the money for it by that deadline, I'm not getting that wellness center. So these kind of abstract whys are great because, you know, they might get you so far, but maybe not every single day to actually do the, you know, what you said last time, the money making activities. And so that's kind of what I was kind of like, why am I not doing all this stuff? I have a huge why. Like, my why has never been a question in my life. But I think it's just those deadlines. If there are no deadlines to what you need to accomplish in a short period of time, like real things that you have to have, like your lights are going to get turned off, or you have to have, you know, this amount of money, then I think a lot of people, their why can wait for another month. It can wait for 3 months. You know, in my case, with the people that I go to school with, they never do their board exams because there's no deadline. So I just wanted to share that because it's not really the why. Sometimes it's more specific than a why, a reality within a why. So I just wanted to share that was so. So now I'm motivated, even though I don't really have a lot of time to do this, because I need a certain amount of money to come down with the security deposit and the monthly rent.
I think you're very right. Appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, no, that is good. And that dovetails into what we've been picking up from Jefferson Green. So I think we're right on track. The other part, and we're not going to cover it today because we don't have enough time. We'll set aside maybe a special day for it or whatever. But having gone through that book, Start With Why, it became very clear why we're frustrated with that question. It became clear why it's difficult to answer. He spent a lot of time going through case history and experiences. And then at the last third of the book, and you had to go through the whole thing in order to be able to get there, but the last third of the book talked about a real simple identifiers on how you can develop a real crystal clear why. And so I've gone through that book a couple of times now, and just talk about epiphanies, talk about revelations. So we'll go ahead and I'll do like an abridged thing if you guys are open to that, you know, sometime over the next week or so, and because I think it will be helpful. It's not tactically important right now, but it definitely is something that would be worthwhile going through. Christine, you've been able to jump on. Would you share with us maybe a little bit about what's been taking place over the past couple of days, and then what your projections are for the next couple of days, and then I'll wrap up on my side as well, and then we can be done for this morning. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning. Well, I did get promo qualified for this second half with 2. My goal is to have 2 more, but so I'm excited about that. Have joined the chamber, which I think is a good thing if people are I have a huge list, but for me, making phone calls is not an easy thing. I'm better at, in a crowd, meeting people, feeling their energy, and being me. So Meg and I joined the chamber. We went to our first little event last night. So I think that's a really good way to meet people. And then just I'll be making calls for my overview I'm having tomorrow night, which Candace has like 3 people coming because Candace lives near me. I think Meg has a few people, so we're doing, and some of our other people. I also sat with one of my kind of directors who's not really been hitting director, and told her some of the things that we were doing. I walked with her yesterday. I met her on her level, multitasking, walking the beach, talking and hanging out, and got her to commit. And she's excited about some of the information that we're going to be sharing with actually not only the overviews we're going to hammer through, but the 7 steps that we'll have solidified probably by Friday. I'll have things tagged out. So now you've enrolled them, now what to do? And we have the Jefferson Green model for that as well. So that's what I'm working on.
Awesome. And mine is, let me count them up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've only got 7 folks in my funnel to have the Melaleuca conversation with. I stopped that when I decided or discovered that we needed to do our own overview. So that's where I've been spending my creative time. And so between Wednesday and Thursday, I've got those that I'm going to follow through with. I've also got the others that I'm going to follow through with that I've already dropped those videos off with. So that's probably a stack. I don't even know what that number is. And so that'll take place in these pockets of time that I have available. So I'm just going to reach out and do that. And so within the next 2 days, I would like to have a final rough draft of the overview available for all of us. So maybe on Friday, what we can do is do a quick summary of what we've done, what we would like to do, keep it real short and sweet, and then jump into some of the logistics of the overview and maybe start to pull that together. Perhaps, and I'm speaking out of turn here, but perhaps maybe with an off Monday, Wednesday, Friday time where we can all get together and run through a mock version of the overview, spend an hour or so just going through that. If you guys are available, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday, maybe Monday, we'll figure that part out. But in any event, maybe we can do that sometime over the next few days as well. That would be awesome. Okay, good. I think that's it. Any closing comments, any closing questions or thoughts? We good to go for right now?
I actually did not share, but when you asked if anybody hadn't shared, I had just stuffed broccoli in my mouth, so that's bad timing is off. So I have a hard time with this whole specific goal thing because I find sometimes you make a goal and you can't, I use this word very carefully, you're unable to achieve that goal because it depends on other people. So I'm going to make a goal that I know I can achieve all by myself, and I'm hoping that it'll yield other results. It's kind of big, but I just made up a huge list of names, and I got a lot more I can add to it. So I want to actually talk to 20 people, not just call 20 people, but actually make contact with 20 people before Friday. And it's really scary to say out loud, but if you don't say it out loud, you don't do it. So I'm going to leave it at that. I have a couple strategy sessions to follow up with, but with Socrates, don't forget, we're supposed to have one at 10 o'clock this morning. I haven't heard back from the girl yet, but we'll still plan on it. But that's going to be my goal. I'm just going to focus on that because hopefully from that I'll have some enrollments. It would be awesome if it yielded a promo qualification for 4, but if I at least talk to 20 people, that's a goal that I can do myself, that I have control of. I can call until I get 20 people on the phone. Beyond that, it depends what they say, but that's my goal.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that, and I've written it down. Here's something that I picked up a little while ago that may be a good note to end on as we round the corner of 8:30 here. The coaching that I've received has been to have, so the stretch goal is the production, the tactical goal is what I can control. So it dovetails on what you're talking about. So for example, I can't necessarily control, I'm going to talk to 20 people between now and a certain time, but what I can control is the number of hours that I apply toward that exercise. So if you were to see my planner, what you would see is, and I'll just give you an example of it without getting into a bunch of detail, all right? So 7:30 to 8:30 Zoom call, here we are. I have a half-hour space in there before the next thing, which is 9 o'clock, the Jefferson Green promotional call that he does. After that, it's to the gym, and I've got an hour and a half spaced out for that. So that gives me a chance to transition in gym clothes, get to the gym, work out, stretch, come back. Okay. And then at 11 o'clock, I've got a thing. At 11:30, I've got another conference call that, although it usually takes about an hour, hour and 15 minutes, I've got an hour and a half set aside. And I have a 1 p.m. call. There's nothing at 1:30. I've got a 2 o'clock call. At 3 o'clock, I've got an hour and a half set aside to do some activities with my daughter. And then at 4 o'clock, it's free again. Here's my point. The following day, I've got a 1 hour block and a 2.5 hour block. I've already blocked that time out that says open. And what that means for me being defined as, I'm going to make calls in that space. I'm going to reach out in that space. I'm going to email, text, instant message, smoke signal. I'm going to do whatever I need to do in that space until the time limit has ended. So I've set a time goal for myself. And if I reach 2 people or 20 people, I can't control who's going to answer. I can't control where I might get sidetracked with an email. It's like, gosh, I thought I had that template around here. I haven't done this one before. Let me create a template. I've got 1,000 templates. There's only 7 or 8 that I'm using right now, but over the years, I've created 1,000 templates. Because if I'm going to say that, and I know I'm going to say it again, then I'm going to write it down. So all I have to do is copy and paste, change the name to protect the innocent, and get it out the door. Okay, so I don't have to stop and think about, okay, what do I do in this particular phase? So the point is that I've got time blocks. And so if you can master your calendar can master your life. All right. If it's important enough to set a time to show up to church or work or what have you, why isn't it important enough to set aside time to work your business? This is my mentality and what I've been taught. So I set aside blocks of time, and then I execute as well as I possibly can in that time. I even set aside strategic time first thing in the morning. From the time that I wake up, which is usually around 4:30, 5:30, something of that nature, until my first meeting, I have purposed that it's okay to just sit there and hear a still, quiet voice, to write stuff down as it comes to me, to send myself an email so I don't have to get up. I've got a system for even capturing my thoughts, and then I've got a time later in the day where I process those thoughts. Okay, so my suggestion would be block the time, execute as much as you can in that time, and then move forward from there. And you'll find that if you do that on a consistent basis, wealth is generated little by little. I think you'd be a lot happier, because a lot of it's an emotional thing. A lot of it's a psychic thing. I mean, I don't mean psychic in the traditional term, but I mean, if you don't feel good about what you're doing, then you're going to eventually stop it. Okay. If you don't think you can, then you're not even going to get off the couch. And if you constantly set goals that you're failing at, then you're not going to feel good about what's happening. You're going to feel like you're not making progress and in fact, you really are, but you just don't measure it that way. So if you set aside time blocks and you execute and you honor your planner, you honor your calendar, then you'll feel good about that time. You may not be satisfied, but you'll feel good and you'll tip forward, and that may help. Yeah, that may help. All right, very good. Well, folks, thank you. Thank you. We're doing awesome. I'm real pleased. I can see some stuff. I can